here's a trick that you can do with nesting that will save you a bunch of time and make your life a lot easier. So let's get right to it. I am in Premiere, but this will work in any editing software. And I've got a bunch of clips from a GH4. Now the GH4, like many cameras, splits up files. So even though it's one take, because of the system software architecture that they're using, it has to be split up into 4 GB or roughly 4 GB clips. So even though there's a bunch of, it's one take, it's a bunch of different individual clips. And you'll see, so all this is footage that I shot of myself doing some videos for the YouTube channel, and they're all the same, right? So you'd probably want to use the same color correction settings on all of these. And what you might do normally is you'd go into your sequence, you drag these in, and you'd cut this all up maybe, and then apply some color, and then you're copy and pasting, and you're changing your color, and you're moving stuff around. And we want to avoid all of that. That's a lot of work, and we want to save time because that's the whole goal. So what we're going to do is, instead of doing that from the very start, this is one of the first things you want to do with any kind of interview footage or any long clips that are maybe split up, but they all have the same settings. What you want to do is you want to make a new sequence. And it can be any settings that you want. For this one, it's all 1080p 24 stuff. So I'm going to call this Cam A 1080p Nest. And what we are going to do is we are going to put all of the footage in that sequence right there, right? And we're not going to worry about editing anything here. This is just a baseline to lay everything down. And there, if you have audio files that you want to sync up, you can sync it all up. But essentially, we're turning all these individual clips into one big clip, as if we never cut, as if the camera didn't split it up into little clips. We're going to pretend it's all one. And we're going to come back to our edit, and we're just going to drag that sequence, that nest sequence, in here. And look at what we have. We have one clip, as if the camera never stopped recording, as if it never split up individual clips. And this really doesn't slow down performance hardly at all. So what you can do now is you can edit this up, cut it all around, whatever you want to do. You can delete stuff. It doesn't really matter. You can change the order. You can add B-roll. You can do your whole deal, right? And then at the end, you want to color it. Well, since it has the same lighting and the same settings for the whole deal, you can go into the nest. And in the nest, we're going to add a new adjustment layer. And that adjustment layer has the same settings by default as the sequence we're in. We're going to make that new adjustment layer. We're going to call this color. And we are going to put that over all this footage. Now what we can do is we can actually save this, and we can go over to SpeedGrade. And it's going to say, do you want to save this and open in SpeedGrade? Sure. Save that. It's going to open, do its deal. And what this is doing is it's sending that Premiere project directly to SpeedGrade. Now, you can't do this step exactly in other editing software, so should keep that in mind. But the basic concept is still the same. Just nest all your footage if it's all the same. So one interview that has one lighting setup with certain camera settings will be one nest. And then maybe you have a second camera from that same shoot. That would be your second nest, Cam B nest. And then maybe there's another shoot with a different interview, Cam A nest for that one, Cam B. You want to group all the footage together that looks the same, that you would apply the exact same settings to. So maybe if there's some preset that you do to all your footage, you could theoretically do this, but this is really just for like interviews or any kind of consistent live presentation, something where you have multiple clips and you want to make them one clip. I don't know if you heard that, but that was my son on the baby monitor. Now, what we're going to do in SpeedGrade is we're going to look at my face, and the webcam is probably covering that up. Let's see if I can turn it off. That's the wrong thing. There we go. Now let's go back over to SpeedGrade, and hopefully that worked. Now, we're not going to get fancy with this, but essentially you can color this. Let's go crazy just so we can see it for, extreme examples. Turn the contrast way up. And actually, I don't like it cold. I like it really, really warm. Oh, yeah, that looks so good, but not saturated at all. There we go, like sepia tone. Yeah, that looks awesome. No, it looks terrible, but we've got that adjustment layer, and we are applying all this color correction to the adjustment layer. So Premiere and SpeedGrade are smart enough to read the adjustment layer and apply those settings on that layer to the clips below it. So you can turn it off and on, and it's on the adjustment layer, and it's not on these individual clips. These individual clips you could tweak if you wanted to, but I do it all on the adjustment layer. So now that we've got that, now I want a little bit more color. All right, there we go. Let's save that. Click this button up here to go back to Premiere. It's going to ask me if I want to save. Direct link over to Premiere. Yes, I do. Hey, look, we're back in Premiere. And we're in that nested sequence. So now when we go to the actual edit, all of that color is on that clip. It's not an effect on that clip. It's in the nest on the adjustment layer. So what's really nice about this is that, let's say we did more editing and we tweaked more stuff around, you know, we did like just crazy stuff, moved everything around, and we deleted stuff, we added new stuff, right? Like we put, you know, a bunch of new ones in there. Maybe they're not, you know, added that way, but they're added that way. Somehow, some way, you're adding more stuff, moving stuff around. You can always go back into this nest sequence and change the color from here. So let's say you don't like how warm it is. You want it cold, or you want it desaturated, or you want less contrast. Whatever it is, you can do the exact same trick. Save. We're going to send to SpeedGrade. Yes, I want to open in SpeedGrade. Tweak it so the temperature is now really cold. Save. We're going to click this button, send it back to Premiere. Yes, we want to save it. And boom, there we go. We go back to our edit, and all of that stuff is in all of these clips no matter what. We don't have to copy and paste. We don't have to remove anything. All of it is in the nest. It's so helpful. Saves me so much time. And that way you just color in the one spot. This is the only place you ever have to touch color for this footage. Now, you would have to make a Cam B if you had a Cam B or a Cam C and do individual nests for that, because the cameras are likely going to have slightly different color settings. But in general, this is a lot easier than what you might traditionally do, which is, you know, copy, like paste. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm trying to, here we go. Copy this effect. We're just going to delete the adjustment layer for now. And, you know, you might paste this to that and then select all these and paste it again. But now, if you want to change the color here and make it warm, you'd have to delete this effect, recopy and paste it, and it's just a huge time sink, and you don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. No one wants to do that. So anytime you have footage that is uniform, meaning that it's the same, all of it's going to get the exact same settings and can be all grouped together. You sync it in a sequence, make sure it nest it, and then pull it into your actual edit and use that nested sequence as your new footage, as if that is the clip. It might look a little odd if someone's not familiar with the technique. They'd be like, why is this nested? What's going on here? But once you explain it to them, you show them this video, you say, oh my gosh, that is the easiest, best thing I've ever seen in my life. And it helps fix the problem with GH4. I don't really like GH4 for that reason. Actually, I love the GH4, but I don't like the GH4 for that reason because it splits these clips up. But there is the plus side that if a clip gets corrupted, hey, it's only that 4 gig chunk and it's not all of your footage. So there's pros and cons to both. But with this method, you can pretend like it's all one long take. And again, just to show you what that would look like, you just pull that nest right in here. There you go, ready to edit as if it was just shot that way. Look at that beautiful color correction we did. It was so fast and it looks so good. No, it doesn't. But in any case, hopefully that shows you a nice little tip or trick that you can use on your own projects. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will try and answer them. And the only thing I will add to this is that make sure your nest matches the settings of your footage. So if I happen to shoot all this at 1080 just to save on file space, because they're, you know, just me talking to a camera, so it's not that important. But if it was 4K, you'd want to make sure this nest was 4K so that in your 1080 edit, you could scale it down, you know, to 50% if it were 4K. This is 1080, so it doesn't work that way for this example, but just something to keep in mind. Make sure that initial nest, this sequence, make sure this nest sequence matches the settings of your source footage. So frame rate, resolution, all that jazz, so you still have that flexibility down the road when you're in your actual edit. Hope that helps.